biologist. We are in Unit 3 learning all about animal and plant life. So we are acting as biologists, studying the tissues and cells and now the organs that make up life. So today we're on to Chapter 2, Organs and Organ Systems. As we get into our chapter, first thing we want to look at is our big question. What is our end-in-mind goal of what we want to know by the end of this video? So our big question is, how do organs work together in systems to perform specific functions? So how are organs working together to help animals, plants, or humans exist? On to our vocabulary for this lesson. First vocabulary term is structure. Structure is the arrangement of parts that make up something. So plants and animals, they have a structure, but also buildings have a structure. The steel beams that go together, the wood on the outside, the insulation on the inside, it's all part of the overall structure that puts something together. Second vocabulary term, function. The way that something works to achieve a task or to serve a purpose. Both structure and function can also be used as verbs. So either as a noun or as a verb. The actual thing or the action of that thing. So now that we have an idea of what our big question is, what our vocabulary is, we're going to get started into organs and organ systems. You don't need to think about what goes on inside of your body to do all the things that you do every day. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your stomach digests food, and your intestines absorb nutrients. Your muscles stretch and move. All of the parts of your body have jobs. They all work together to keep you alive. This all occurs because your body is highly organized. You are made of smaller parts that work together in a system. The parts or structures perform jobs or functions. So we know that cells are the building blocks, the smallest bit of life for either plants or animals. A bunch of cells together form tissues. So you have hair cells making hair tissues, skin cells making skin tissues, bone cells making bone tissues, and some of those tissues can form together to form organs. In the last chapter, we learned about cells and tissues. Groups of similar cells form a tissue. Groups of similar tissues form body parts called organs. An organ is a structure in a living thing's body. Each type of organ has a structure and a function. It's shaped in a certain way to do a certain task. Animals have many organs. For example, the heart is an organ. A blue whale's heart is so large, and a mouse's heart is very small. But in both animals, the heart's function is to pump blood through the animal's body. Other organs, each of which is formed from tissues, include your stomach, the liver, and large intestine. So an organ is a body part made up of related tissues that perform a specific function. Okay? So here in this diagram of a heart, we've got blood vessels and more blood vessels, and we can follow the path of blood through the heart, down through the ventricles into the atria to get to our interior heart chamber and to our heart muscle tissue. And we can follow how it flows in through the top into our lungs, back into the bottom of the heart and out, oxygenated to the parts of our body to deliver blood to help us stay alive. It's what our organs do. They keep us alive. An organ's structure supports its function. So how it is shaped and formed helps to determine what it does. So words to know: oxygen. It's a gas that land-dwelling animals take in. Oxygen from the air. Aquatic organisms often take oxygen that is in the water through organs called gills. Okay? So oxygen. It's part of the air we breathe. Not all the air we breathe. It's mostly nitrogen, but our living bodies, unless we magically turned into plants, take in oxygen. Plants take in carbon dioxide and turn that into oxygen through the whole chlorophyll process that we'll get into later. So an organ structure supports its function. Animals that live on land have lungs. Lungs are expandable, air-filled organs. They allow an animal or human to breathe. Breathing takes in oxygen from the air, but lungs cannot function in water. Fish live in water, and they don't have lungs. They have organs that are called gills. Gills are blood-filled, sheet-like organs. A fish's gills allow it to get oxygen from the water instead of from the air. Both lungs and gills are organs that are made up of tissues. Plants also have organs too. It's not just animals and humans. All living life has cells, which makes tissues, which makes organs. A lot of cells make tissues. A lot of tissues make organs. A lot of organs make organisms or living things. Leaves, stems, and roots are the plant's organs. The function of a plant's leaves are to capture sunlight to make food. A stem supports a plant and moves water to its different parts. Roots take in water from the soil. A plant uses all of these organs and their functions to survive, and all of the plant's organs are made of tissues. Here we have a diagram of lungs from a human, presumably, that are a part of the respiratory system, and they help many organisms, land-dwelling mainly, to take in air and deliver oxygen to other parts of the body by being pumped through the heart, which would be right about there. All right, but sometimes we have more than one organ, and that organ with another organ forms an organ system. So an organ system is a group of organs that work together to carry out certain functions. So one organ might do this function, one organ might do that function. Put them together, and voila, you can breathe. Groups of similar cells form a tissue. Groups of tissues form organs. Groups of organs form organ systems. This all goes into that biological organization, from the smallest cells to tissues to organ systems. Organ systems have different structures, and each is related to the organ system's function. So one organ system we have is to get food in and to release waste. Plants make their food by using energy from the sun. To do this and to process that food, they have organ systems. 3 organs, the roots, stems, and leaves, all work together in a system that uses sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to make food. Organs in the root system work together to help plants get water and to store food. They use this food for all of life purposes, processes. Animals, we have to find our own food, which could include the plants up here, or other animals. We use organs, such as our eyes and ears, to locate the food. Then we use organs such as our stomach and intestines to digest the food that we eat. This is called our digestive system. The kidney and bladder are organs that work together as a system to remove waste from the body, and they are part of the excretory system, which excretes or releases waste. When you have to go to the restroom, your body's getting rid of stuff you no longer need the restroom because your kidneys have processed all the stuff it needs out of it, and your intestines as well, and it all leads down to where you have to get it out. Exchanging gases, another type of organ system. When an animal breathes, it uses its lungs to bring in oxygen from the air. Muscles perform the pumping action that draws air into the lungs and pushes it out. Inside the lungs, gases cross to and from the animal's blood. Blood absorbs the oxygen. That oxygen is used in the body to help make usable energy for life. Carbon dioxide is then released in the process, and it is released when the lungs exhale air from the body. The process is called respiration, and the system is called the respiratory system. So here's an example of this chimpanzee, the respiration system inside this chimpanzee's body. Can we trace the path that gases take as they enter and leave the chimpanzee's body? All right, and our last organ system that we're talking about is how to control movement. We've talked about eating food and getting rid of that waste. We talked about breathing and getting that oxygen to our blood. The last thing that organ systems help us do is help us to control movement. Animals must move to meet their needs, whether you want to or not, no matter how comfortable that couch is or how comfortable your bed is. We need to move. We have bodies that are designed to move and keep us moving, whether it's running, swimming, jumping, or climbing. We need to move. We need to use what we've got on our bodies to stay alive, and we need to keep moving to keep all those functionalities working so that we can live our best lives. Organs of the muscular system work together so that animals can move. Muscles are flexible. They can bend and stretch when an animal moves. Bones, which make up the skeletal system, are not flexible. Bones, no bend. Muscles, bend. If your bone's bending, something is wrong, and you probably need medical attention. Muscles are supposed to bend in the right way. Okay? Bones support and protect an animal's body. Muscles push and pull against stiff bones, causing movement. Animals would not be able to move without bones or muscles. These organ systems work together. Most muscles and all bones do not move on their own. The brain, this thing right up here, sends messages down to all of your body parts through the nervous system. Nerves also send messages back to the brain. The brain and nerves are also part of an organ system known as the nervous system. A nerve is a bundle of cells that sends and receives messages between the brain and other body parts. So your nerves, if you accidentally set your hand on a hot stove, send messages from your fingertips all the way up your arm, all the way up to your brain, and be like, hey, hot. And your brain's automatically like, hey, move that hand. And it sends a message back quicker than you can think to make you safe and keep you alive. So all of our organs work together in organ systems to form organisms. And all of these are built out of tissues, which are built out of cells, the smallest form of life in both plants and animals. And with that, that concludes this video on chapter 3.2, learning about organs and organ systems. Please take some time to answer 5 to 10 questions down in Google Classroom. Stay awesome, and I will see you real soon.